Hello everyone, my name is Sumaya Syed and I'm excited to present this app I'm designing called Vocabulary Bee. This is a vocabulary learning app and it's currently in its low fidelity prototype stage. So let's go ahead and meet Mike. Mike is 27 years old and works as a construction engineer in Arizona. He interacts with a lot of different people daily and has a busy lifestyle juggling work, gym, and a social life. Mike works at an office but often has to go to different construction sites. He needs to be able to communicate well with his managers and also workers at his job sites who often don't speak English. He needs quick lessons every day that he can do whenever he has some time to improve his existing vocabulary and learn new languages in a fun and visual way. He also wants a good review system and reminders to practice so he can retain the material. Therefore, Mike needs a flexible way to learn and practice a foreign language while also building up vocabulary in his current language. We will know this is true when we see Mike using the app to learn to confidently communicate with upper management and learn how to have conversations with employees at his job sites in different languages. So some of the challenges that Mike faces are needing short sessions because of his busy schedule, which most of us can relate to. He needs practice often because he learns best by repetition or else he will forget. And needing the learning to be fun with short video clips, conversation practice, and so on. With all that in mind, I started the design process focusing first on building the existing vocabulary feature. So as you can see, we have the initial hand-drawn wireframes. It starts with the home page where I added a quick word of the day so the users can learn a word every day, which is really quick and they can get a notification on their phone. But mostly this was focused on completing a daily training. The daily training is right there on the Learn page, and once users go into it, they would learn 5 words at a time. They do the meaning, they do examples, they do some exercises, and it's meant to be that quick training session every day for them to keep on top of learning. And next we'll go into how they're reviewing and retaining the material. Since retaining, reviewing, and practicing vocabulary is such a big part to the success of this app, I decided to work on that as well, having a flashcard option, an exercise option, and some flow processes for that. For usability testing, I decided to test some of the app's most basic functions. So the user would complete a daily training exercise, review vocabulary using the flashcard method and then the exercise method. And I wanted to see how the navigation was in between the pages. So have the user start a daily training but then navigate back to the home page. The findings from these tests were quite enlightening. Some things worked well, but there were also some common issues. The first issue that I noticed was the users having some trouble finding the daily training. Since they were not familiar with the interface and they started on the home page, there wasn't really any onboarding or bubbles to direct them to the daily training. And I did not do the greatest job of drawing out these wireframes, which I think made it a little bit more difficult for the users. The second most common issue was the users not knowing if they had finished the training or the review, even though it said right there, but since there was only one button in the bottom, they felt obliged to click it and then go ahead and go review everything, although there was a cancel button on top, but most of the users pressed the review or the practice incorrect words button on the bottom. I think those were the two main issues with my prototype at that point. I used Jacob Nielsen's error severity rating scale and rated the daily training navigation a 3 in severity and rated the review and training complete button at the bottom a 2 in severity. Users were able to do the other tasks pretty easily and also gave me some good overall feedback. Users did want to see some positive reinforcements and motivating quotes, such as whenever they finished a training set or a review set, good job, well done, things like that. Not just a button on the bottom that says, review your incorrect words. So I think that was a really good point. And also, one of the users pointed out that there wasn't an overall page to like a scorecard to see the things they had got right, things they had got wrong. There was only that training complete and review incorrect words. But what if the user had got all the words correct? So I think those are really good feedback. So based on the results from the usability testing, I made some improvements. The first one being adding a daily training button straight on the home page. Since this is, I think, one of the main features of the app, also having this on the home page and quickly accessing it would be a good thing for this app. The next thing was the training or review complete page. So I changed that to just complete and then added some motivational quotes and also added a home button on the bottom that will take you back to the home page and then the review button. The review button ties into the next part of the improvement. So when users click the review button now, they will be taken to a scorecard, which is an additional page I created. And they'll be able to see what are the words they did in the exercise and, if they were doing a review exercise, what things they got right, what things they got wrong. And also added a home button on there and then added if they want to practice the words they got incorrect to go ahead and practice those. Next steps would definitely be to create a higher fidelity prototype and conduct more usability tests. I think I did run into some problems since they were hand-drawn. I didn't do the best job. And then definitely have to work on the foreign language learning module since that is a big feature of this app. I plan to introduce some visual learning categories, some short clips, maybe from TVs, movies, so users can get the accent and see if they're able to understand what they're saying. Expand on some of the more features of the app, such as the journal. Also, keep building positive learning experience. So build encouraging words, phrases, quotes, and think of any other positive learning we can add to the app. This whole project was such a big learning experience, and I'd like to point out some of the key highlights I think are important in this process. Number one, usability testing. It gives such insight to issues you may not notice as a designer. It could be major, it could be minor, but it definitely helps you notice things that may be wrong with the design. And I think that's why it's such a big part of the process. Also, really focus on your persona. when you're building the design, keep your persona in mind, and it will help focus the project. Thirdly, make sure the design elements are legible, even if it is a low fidelity prototype. You want your users to still be able to read what it says on the screen, or else the first round of usability testing, it kind of be a waste of time. So make sure it's still legible. And be specific when the instructions for usability testing so that there is less room for confusion. I definitely think one of my questions was a little confusing to the users, so try to be as specific without giving away what you want them to be doing when you're doing the tests. And then don't assume users would understand your interface at once. Think about incorporating short onboarding processes. And that is all I had to share with you at this point. Thank you so much for going through this presentation with me, and we will connect soon.